It all started one chilly Friday evening in October, when the wind was picking up and the sky hinted at rain. Jacob and I had just gotten back from a long day at work, tossing our jackets on the couch and cracking open a couple of beers. He was my best friend since college, reliable, hilarious, and way too charismatic for his own good. We had moved in together to split rent in a decent-sized house in Portland, and the setup worked out better than expected. The only thing missing was that spark of something unexpected. That night, we both kept talking about Lauren. She wasn't just any girl. She was the kind of woman who walked into a room and instantly changed the energy. Confident, funny, wildly smart. She worked with Jacob's older sister at a law firm downtown, and I had met her once at a barbecue over the summer. She had this way of laughing with her whole face, and the way she held herself. It left an impression on both of us. We didn't talk about it at the time, but apparently we'd both been thinking about her more than we realized. It was Jacob who first brought it up. He said, "You remember Lauren, right?" I didn't even try to act casual. "Of course. You still talk to her?" He nodded, scrolling through his phone.
"Yeah.
"She's hilarious. We message sometimes. Actually, she said she might come by tonight." That caught me off guard. "Wait, what? You invited her here?" He grinned, taking a sip from his beer. "Well, not like a date. I just said we were hanging out, and she said she might swing by." "Is that weird?" I shook my head slowly, suppressing a smirk. "Not weird at all. Just interesting timing." By 9 o'clock, the doorbell rang. Lauren stood on the porch wrapped in a tan trench coat, her curly brown hair a little windblown. She held a bottle of wine in one hand and gave us that easy smile that made her seem both cool and warm at the same time. "Hope I'm not crashing anything," she said. "Not at all," I replied, holding the door open. Jacob motioned toward the kitchen. We were just about to put a pizza in the oven. "Wine is more than welcome." As the night settled in, the three of us found our groove. We talked about old college stories, made fun of each other's terrible taste in music, and even played a few rounds of card games. Lauren was magnetic. She teased Jacob about his inability to shuffle cards properly and called me out for mixing up movie references. The air between us was light but charged, like we were all skimming the edge of something we hadn't quite named. By midnight, we were on the living room floor with blankets wrapped around us. The wine bottle was empty, and Lauren had kicked off her boots. Her feet were tucked under her as she leaned against the couch, her eyes flicking between us with a spark that said she knew something was shifting too. Jacob nudged me with his elbow and gave me that look, the one that said, "This could be something, but only if we're on the same page." And weirdly, I was. Without speaking it aloud, we both knew what we were thinking. Not in a reckless or disrespectful way, more like two people curious about the same possibility, unsure how to approach it without breaking the magic. Lauren stretched her arms and stood up slowly. "I should probably head out. It's getting late." Jacob stood with her. "Or you could stay. No pressure."
"Just saying."
"It's cold out, and we've got extra blankets." She looked at me. "What do you think?" I shrugged, my tone casual but genuine. "We'd be happy to have you stay. Couch is comfy. Or, you could take my room. I can crash in Jacob's." She tilted her head and smiled like she was weighing more than the words. "You two really are something." Then she laughed. "All right. Why not? I'll stay. But only if we have pancakes in the morning." "Deal," Jacob said, already heading toward the closet for spare pillows and blankets. That night, nothing wild happened. Lauren took my room, Jacob and I shared the pull-out couch, and we all fell asleep sometime after 2 in the morning. But the dynamic had changed. We'd opened a door, even if just slightly. Over the next few weeks, Lauren started coming over more often. She brought desserts she made from scratch, made fun of our attempt at assembling furniture from the thrift store, and started feeling like part of our home. The three of us developed a rhythm, friendly, affectionate, and full of laughter. One Saturday evening, we were all in the backyard with string lights overhead and burgers grilling. Lauren sat between us on the bench, her legs folded, and she leaned her head on my shoulder. Then, without a word, she reached out and took Jacob's hand. No one said anything for a moment, but no one pulled away either. She looked at both of us and said, "You two are ridiculously close. I've never seen two guys with a friendship like yours." Jacob chuckled. "Yeah, we get that a lot." She added softly, "It's kind of beautiful. I don't think I've ever been around two people who make me feel like I belong with them as much as you two do." I felt that same spark from before, but this time, it was different. It was bolder, more grounded in the connection we'd built. That night, we sat on the living room floor again, just like the first night she visited. There was no wine, no games, just quiet conversation and music playing softly in the background. Jacob asked, "What would happen if we stopped pretending we didn't feel something unusual here?" Lauren looked at us for a long time before answering. "I'd say, maybe we shouldn't pretend anymore." That conversation opened everything. Over the next few months, we learned how to navigate something uncharted. It wasn't about crossing boundaries recklessly. It was about building trust, being honest, and respecting each other deeply. The three of us started to spend more time together, going on weekend road trips, sharing stories that we'd never told anyone else, and learning how to be vulnerable in ways that none of us had before. It wasn't always smooth. There were moments of doubt, of course. One night, Lauren sat between us and said, "Are we just playing house, or does this mean something real?" Jacob leaned in first. "It means something real to me." I nodded. "Me too. But it only works if we're all in it together." Lauren took a breath and whispered, "Then I'm in." We didn't rush anything. We went slowly, letting our bond develop in its own way. Lauren never had to choose one of us over the other, and we never pushed for that. Instead, we created something rare, an understanding that didn't fit into a conventional box, but felt deeply meaningful to each of us. It wasn't about being different or trying to prove a point. It was about being honest with what we felt. We supported each other, built a home that was full of laughter, trust, and warmth. We hosted dinners where friends would ask, "So, what's going on with you three?" And we'd smile, sharing a look and reply, "We're happy. That's what's going on." Eventually, people stopped asking. They saw the way we operated, how we lifted each other up and kept things honest and kind. Our families were slower to understand, but over time, they came around because they saw how much love there was between us. Lauren used to say, "I never imagined I'd be in something like this. But then again, I never met anyone like you too." And we'd tell her, "We never knew we needed this until we met you." It wasn't a storybook romance in the traditional sense. It was real life, messy at times, uncertain, but always full of effort, respect, and an unwavering commitment to each other.